Welcome back to the Adam Bursztein Contract to Close podcast. Adam, how are you today?
I'm doing excellent. Today is Thursday, right?
Thursday, April 15th, quarter
Awesome.
two.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We had a great quarter one. I'm super excited. We just ran our numbers, actually. 30 million this first quarter in sales in residential, not including commercial, which is right around 5 million right now.
Well,
pretty good first quarter.
Speaking of kind of closing out that first quarter with those numbers, we're going to talk about the kind of the end of that process, or close to the end of that process. I kind of buried the lead a little bit there, gave it away, but what stage of the home buying process does the appraisal actually occur?
What stage does the appraisal process happen? Okay, great question. From a buyer's perspective, the appraisal, we try to have it done as soon as possible, in theory, because it's a huge component of the sales transaction, right? So normally it should take, let's just break it down on how a typical contract would run. Financing normally will close between 45 and 60 days, right? Here in South Florida. In some places they call that escrow. Here we just call it, we're in contract. And then, right? So once we're in contract, deposits are met, we're going through our inspection period, we have timelines, right? The longest timeline is the bank. They have literally until the end when the underwriter decides to give you the final clear to close. But before that, we must do the appraisal. And we want to have that appraisal done typically in 14 to 17 days, like max, right? Because it's eaten up half of the time now, and this holds the seller hostage until we find out what that appraisal is.
Now, what is a home appraisal?
Home appraisal is going to tell us the value of the home that the bank believes it should be or is, based on comparisons within a certain radius or market. In single family homes, they want to take traditionally, I believe, a 3-mile radius. And they need to have 3 closed sales within 6 months to consider it a current comp. And if they do that, then you have a sale. In a building, condominium, tall vertical, they want to pull comps within 6 months inside the building of a similar unit in comparison. If not, they're allowed to go to outside of that.
Now, who typically conducts that appraisal? Is it the buyer's agent? Is it the seller's agent? Is it a third party?
So the way it works is it's normally done by the buyer and the bank. Pre-2007-8, the crash, mortgage brokers were allowed to, I guess, select their mortgage person or appraisal person, from the bank, or they had a little more control, which may have led to the disaster that happened in the financial real estate crisis. But moving forward and how they fix that, we as realtors or mortgage brokers, and I don't even believe the bank, they just submit it and then a random appraiser is chosen and then they are met at the property, right? That's from a buyer's perspective. From the seller's perspective, I just took a listing a few months ago and something that was very over improved and looked like it would probably be a high sale for the building. So in order to cover ourselves as agents, but also give good information to the seller, we recommended he pay for his own appraisal. Right? So we know what the value is and then really set the price accordingly. That's the way it always should be done. But sellers never want to spend the money on that. And that typically would cost, depending on the property, between $500 and $1,000, $500 and $1,000, let's say.
So you've got to set aside $500 to $1,000 for the appraisal every time, correct?
Correct. And then in the banking world and finance, they may want to have you pay for that ahead of time nowadays through a credit card. Some banks, maybe $350. $500 is a pretty good general number nowadays in South Florida.
Because we are in this low inventory sellers market, I've heard situations where people are waiving the appraisal to get a deal across the finish line faster. Is that happening in Florida? Does that happen ever in Florida?
Absolutely. Since we're doing this visually and audioly, my thumbs up does not carry over, right? So for those people listening, yes. Just appraisals in banking and finance, when you're dealing with mortgages, it can become a very stressful and just, you want the comps to come out right. You need your timelines to come out right, and if the comp doesn't come out to the right price, then renegotiation may happen or walking away. So there's, appraisals are such a big part of the real estate process. Now, in a cash situation, most people don't appraise the properties, which as an agent, obviously, to be honest with you, it's a good thing, right? Because it makes the transaction a little bit smoother. If I'm unsure of the value on some level, or I have a buyer who's a cash guy, I'll recommend an appraisal anyway, just to know, but waiving contingencies in today's crazy pandemic market is going on. I don't recommend it for somebody that's not a savvy or seasoned real estate person, to be honest with you.
Let's kind of go over the three scenarios.
Hold on, time out. I apologize. Let's just talk about why. The mortgage contingency is super important. So if you waive your appraisal on your mortgage contingency, it's literally saying that you're going to pay for the property in cash if the appraisal doesn't happen, and you're waiving your rights to your deposit and anything else. So it's a very, very dangerous and foolish move if you're not careful and you're not, if you don't have somebody in front of you who has the expertise or yourself. I don't recommend it.
So let's kind of dive into some of those scenarios. What happens if the results come back in over the appraisal and you're dealing with the buyer?
Over appraisal. So we came into a contract at 460, let's just say, and the property appraised at 460, and we were in contract at 480. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Then at that point, depending on the seller and the buyer, either you got to renegotiate or you got to come up with more money out of pocket, or you could just walk away from the deal. If it doesn't meet the appraisal and you have your contingency in there, it's a dead deal.
Is that the same situation for under the appraisal?
No, and the other way, it would, if you're that's the key, right? You're a buyer, you come in, you pay $400,000 for something, the appraisal comes in and the thing is worth $450,000, and now you're sitting with $50,000 in equity. And the seller's like, uh-oh, but they wouldn't know that because you don't have to share that with them in reality. That's where the magic happens sometimes.
Now, let's say we've gotten a deal through, everyone's happy, kind of moving on with their lives. What's your relationship like with clients after the deal is done? Are you someone that, makes them hold up a giant key and you take a photo with them, you never hear from them again? What does the next 60 to 120 days look like afterwards?
Oh, when you close with Adam Bursztein, I take you on a private jet. We go on a worldwide cruise, and then I bring you back and I furnish your whole house and apartment. So just work with Adam Bursztein. That's what happens. No. So the reality is, speaking from experience, and I've been doing this for 20 years with my mom, we try not to be transactional in our nature with our clients who become friends of ours, hopefully. In this world. So we act more as a concierge to our clients in pre-sale, closing, after. We always want to stay in contact with our people. In reality, most people are going to sell that home in 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years. And we want to touch base with them. And we have lost opportunities by not being up to date. And we have had opportunities because we were. So in that respect, we always want to stay in touch with our clients. That's always a good business model. And then I just had a closing the other day, for instance. Okay. And I told the lady, because her son lives in New York, she was a little older, hey, if you need anything, I'm here. My office is right over there. It doesn't matter. And when you make a statement like that, you better back it up, right? Because she's called me 4 or 5 times already for, hey, I can't do this, or Comcast won't, the cable company or the internet. So that's okay. That's what you're here for, right? That's part of being like a local, helpful person. And somebody who's coming from out of state or out of this country normally can appreciate those type of things. And in all honesty, holding up a big key, I don't do that. But what I like to do is buy some champagne, give a gift certificate, and make that happen.
We'll restart. So Adam, You mentioned that some clients are coming in from out of state. What sort of advice do you give them with regard to picking a moving company?
Oh God, recommending people is always, and talking and giving referrals is a very necessary but difficult part in real estate. So I used to have a couple moving companies that I worked with personally and everywhere. And if people aren't happy with them, it kind of can sour your relationship sometimes. So I always like to tell people, hey, just go on Google or Yelp, look at local movers, read, and really do your own investigation, especially with something like that, because it's so important. I mean, you're having somebody come in your house, pack up your stuff, help you move, and you don't know what drivers they're going to send one day or not. And it's, and that goes with everything, man. General contractors, plumbers, everything. So I am building currently, honestly, what we call kind of like a super team that works with Adam Bursztein and the equity advisor team. And some of our marketing will start to demonstrate some of these, what we consider 5-star people that we would want to align ourselves with, part of our concierge program. And those are people that I would start recommending with a lot more confidence, I would say.
We've often spoken about how you don't really have to worry about timing the market in South Florida because the weather is relatively consistent throughout the year. If there are folks that are trying to keep costs down, is there an off season for moving where movers might be able to kind of haggle with their prices a little bit? Or does it just not matter because of Florida weather being what it is?
I mean, so we're 14 months into pandemic coronavirus now or something. Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. So pre-pandemic in the summer, you could probably save some money. I've been reading a lot of these moving stats from New York, where you're from, and the amount of movers coming here, it's unbelievable right now. They're so busy that I'm sure everybody's rates are 20 and 30% higher right now just because of the pandemic and coronavirus. But typically in a normal world, and maybe that'll come back in 3 or 4 or 5 years, honestly, I don't know. I don't mean Corona gone, just where this market is not crazy. You'll probably see a softening in all of those things. It's just right now, everybody's kind of pushed their limits the way I feel.
And after those people move in, you talked about kind of staying in front of them as best as you can. What are some of those strategies that you use or are trying to use moving forward?
Well, one thing is having a really good contact management system and a platform, and really putting those people into your database and making them part of your normal. I hate to use the word marketing campaigns, but I guess it is what it is. But that would be something, super simple. Hey, happy birthday. Hey, happy anniversary. Hey, do you need anything? And just set up times where you call and check in. I do a lot of just cold calling in general, where I just call around and say, hey, how you doing? What's going on? Hey, do you need any help? What's going on? Hey, I heard of this new restaurant that opened up. If you want to try it, let me know. I know, and stuff like that. So I pick up the phone all the time when I'm driving around and I'm in a neighborhood where I sold. I always call that person. Hey, what's going on? How are you doing? And that's the way you keep your relationships up with people, at least from my view.
Is that a system that you have the other agents on the equity advisor team follow, or is that something that just fits for you? And if the other agents want to use it, great. If not, do something else that's bringing in business.
So I prefer everybody on my team works exactly like me. We set up the system and the template from the beginning, and we have certain protocols in place, and that's always improving. Compass has such great platform and great systems, and through Compass, honestly, we're able to just set people up on so many great different things, whether it's a Compass collection or learning about our Compass concierge program or Compass's bridge to loan program. I mean, these are all things that I believe in. If we use the CRM correctly and we do it and it becomes a little more automated, then it should happen like that.
Well, Adam, our listeners and viewers can watch this show and past episodes on YouTube by searching Adam Bursztein Contract Close Podcast, as well as on Apple and Spotify. How can they connect directly with you so you can service their real estate needs?
Always, they can call me or text me at 305-409-7556. That's my personal cell phone number. Or at Equity Advisor Team or equityadvisorteam.com. Get on my mailing list, text me, tell me when you're coming into town, find me on Instagram or any of those other social media sites, sir. I am all over.
It's all over. Adam, thanks so much for your time. Talk to you soon.
Likewise, sir. Appreciate it.